Hi, you're listening to Beyond Profits, a podcast by 117 Capital, where we explore the principles, ethics, and impact behind truly sustainable business. In a world driven by profit margins, we are shifting the conversation, diving into value-based leadership, non-interest finance, and the evolving role of ethical investing. Rooted in the spirit of Islamic finance, Beyond Profits is where ethics meets finance, where purpose meets performance, and where values drive ventures. Each episode, we engage with leading voices across various industries, discussing how non-interest finance principles and frameworks are reshaping sustainable business growth, empowering communities, and redefining wealth. Whether you are an entrepreneur, investor, or future leader, this space is for you. Because at 117 Capital, we believe that profits is just the beginning. The true measure of success lies in what we build beyond profits.
Good day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond Profits, a 117 podcast where we discuss issues pertaining to business, finance, and ethics. We're on our fourth episode, and we have a very amazing guest with us, Dr. Nabil Bello. He's a seasoned Islamic finance professional. He has been in the space for almost 2 decades, and we have a lot to learn from him, from his vast experience spanning Islamic finance institutions like Jais Bank, educational institutions like the Bayero University and Ahmad Bello University, and also the having consulting experience as well. So, Dr. Nabil Bello, thank you for joining us on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Now, so today we're discussing something very interesting, something that we don't get to hear so often, which is the people capital or human capital, I'll call it. So, in our space, the Islamic finance space in Nigeria is one that is growing, alhamdulillah. It's growing in terms of asset under management, growing in terms of number of institutions we have and all of this. And one thing that people say is that up until now, the Islamic finance space is underserved in terms of human capital, meaning we'll still have a gap in terms of skilled individuals who will fill up the vacuum to move Islamic finance to where it needs to be. Dr. Nabil, do you agree with this?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, I must say that in any organization and any industry, the people are the most important part of that business. The more you invest in the people, the more they have more talent, the more they contribute, the better for the industry. The Islamic finance, of course, has a depth in terms of the human capital. Islamic banking, as you know, Islamic finance in general started not very long ago, about 2 decades ago. And up till now, we are still trying to struggle to see how we can get the best hands and best talents in the industry. So I believe we have a long way to go, and having a very talented team or talented staff or capital actually is what is going to drive the industry to greater heights.
Yes, thank you. And I agree with you as well.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go into introductory levels. What is this human capital? Because I really did not define human capital to people. So I think I'll put that to you. What's human capital we're talking about? And how is this important in an environment, whether Islamic finance or not Islamic finance, a business or work environment that is trying to uphold Islamic ethics, or basically decent ethics for the organization to thrive? How important is human capital?
Yeah. Human capital is very important because whatever you do, it is the people that do whatever you are doing. So when we say human capital, we refer to what people will put in any endeavor, in any business, in any activity, the roles they are going to play, and the functions they are going to execute. So human capital means the talent you have, the pool you have, and the capabilities of this pool and what they can deliver to push any industry or any organization forward. So the higher, there's going to be a positive relationship between performance and higher human capital. The higher your human capital, the better it is. Of course, the better your performance in general. Yeah.
Now, so the question I will ask is, do you think that currently we have, as a nation, we have the capacity without any external help to build the talent that Islamic finance now in specific needs to thrive in terms of its human capital? Because you did mention that there's no doubt that there's a depth in terms of the human capital that we have, the expertise that we have in terms of people and how many people have that expertise. So do you think with the people currently that we have, we can train an adequate number of individuals to ensure that we are not lacking in terms of capacity?
So I may not be able to give you a straight answer to this because of several factors. But what I believe is we have specialists, we have experts in Islamic finance. I know professors in Islamic finance who learned both in Nigeria and outside the country. We have institutions, we have universities, we have polytechnics that do offer Islamic finance. We have centers, we have institutions like even ICANN, I know they do offer courses in Islamic finance. So all this shows you the effort that has been put in place in order to develop the industry. But why I cannot easily say that these efforts are enough is because there's a certain level that I feel we couldn't exceed. It's as if we have reached a stage of understanding the basics and the intermediate level. But when you go to the advanced trainings, the advanced aspects of Islamic finance, I think we still need more. And that is why you find that, especially in terms of Sharia talent, you still have a lot of gap. Because this is where you need to know the core principles of the banking, of finance, of the business itself. You need to understand jurisprudence very deeply in order to bring contributions to the organization. You find out that some of the financial institutions have to go abroad to get experts, especially in Sharia, who understand Sharia and at the same time have knowledge of finance. Because your knowledge in Sharia alone is not enough. You must have a blend of Sharia and finance at the same time. So, in a nutshell, we are not yet there. I don't think we have enough resources to say that we have enough to train all the professionals we have in Nigeria to understand Islamic finance. But of course, we have a number of financial institutions, we have a number of scholars that we can boast of that can take us to a certain level in the industry.
There are a lot of people that are moving in terms of human capital workers moving from the conventional space to the Islamic finance space. Some of them in high positions, some of them in lower positions. I would say this is a plus to human capital. And I want to know from your own perspective, people porting from the conventional to the Islamic finance space, would you say that this is beneficial for us?
Of course, I would say it is beneficial to us to a certain extent because it shows that Islamic finance is growing. Those in the conventional are finding things interesting in Islamic finance. I'm sure that is why they are moving from the conventional to Islamic finance. And because what we do is similar to what they do to some certain extent, I think it is easy for them to blend and to understand what we are doing and contribute their quota. Especially the aspects where we have common practices. You see issues of operations, account opening, general marketing. All these things are things that a person from the conventional can easily blend when he comes to the financial space. All he needs is just little training and he will start doing the job. But I believe there are some critical areas that you need deep knowledge and you need a lot of understanding, a lot of training. Take, for example, the Sharia departments. You need a person who with deep knowledge of Sharia, deep understanding of Islamic contracts, deep understanding on the principles of Islamic finance. You need people with deep understanding of Sharia to also be in areas that have to do with technical aspects like financial control. It's not for people with general knowledge of interest-based finance. You see, interest-based, or rather conventional finance, is based on charging interest, whereas Islamic finance is based on real trading, buying and selling. So the mindsets are totally different. As long as you come with a mindset of charging interest to non-interest, you will find it very uncomfortable for you before you can take off. And that is why I think you need a hands-on training. It's not a training that you see on books alone. You have to learn, you have to be mentored, you have to be tutored to understand, yes, there is a significant difference. The difference is not just in the nomenclature as some people consider. The difference is really substantial because here you are buying and selling, you are leasing, you are going into partnership, so you are participating with the party. But here is a term of giving loans, you are parting away with money, and you have nothing to do with the other party. All you know is just an obligation to pay him back. And that is why they are even charging interest in this regard. So, as long as you don't understand the rudiments of Islamic finance, a combination, this may be difficult for you to understand right from the beginning. I remember a saying of one of our scholars. He always says this, that a person from conventional finance to convert to Islamic finance is more difficult than a person who has Sharia knowledge to understand Islamic finance. So a person with Sharia, it's easy for him to understand the financial aspects in Islamic finance. But a person from conventional may find it difficult converting to Islamic finance because he lacks the Sharia principle. And that is where I think they need rigorous training. Any person coming from conventional finance to Islamic finance should have a rigorous training on Sharia, should understand interest very well, should understand how to avoid interest, because you may know what is interest, but you may not know how to avoid it. You have to understand the contracts very well. In fact, you even need to understand the essence of prohibitions in Islamic finance. So we are not talking about contracts or the principles, but I think this is important for us to understand that coming from conventional finance and understanding conventional finance alone is not enough for you to practice in Islamic finance.
Now, Doctor, I would want us to, I believe that you also agree that in the conventional space, there are a lot of great minds.
Sure.
There are a lot of great minds. And these great people, we in the Islamic finance space, with our will for this industry to expand, we want these people to come on board.
Sure.
So, do we have our culture and the incentives, do we have what is in place to attract the great minds from other sectors to come and join us?
Yeah. Well, we used to discuss this a lot. But what is the reason for our professionals in conventional space to move to Islamic finance? What is their motive? You can classify their motives into about 3 or 4. Some are coming because they want promotions. So the only motive is if you can attract them with higher grades, they will come. So they are coming to get higher pay. They want to be promoted, maybe where he is a senior manager, he wants to be an AGM. So he comes to an Islamic finance, Islamic finance firm. Some are coming because they are tired of interest and they feel that they should not they should not continue working in a conventional bank or in a conventional finance company because they feel it is haram. And there are some that they are just looking for jobs. And they just stumbled on Islamic finance and they just picked it up. So each category is different. And if you want to attract all of them, you have different approaches, of course. So if you want to attract a person who is coming for a higher grade, of course, you offer him higher grades. Of course, he will come. And if he comes, he will deliver. There are people that are coming because they want to get rid of conventional finance. I think these are the easiest to convince. Even if you are attracting them with the same grade, I'm sure they will even come. So you don't have any problem bringing them from conventional bank to an Islamic bank. For those who are started their work, they are just looking for a job and they stumbled on a conventional, an Islamic bank or an Islamic fund management company, I think they just need to be mentored, they need to be educated because they lack the experience, they lack even the understanding of the true differences between the conventional finance and Islamic finance. I think to be also easy to convince him, but he needs to be mentored and let him understand why he is joining and the importance of what he is doing. So the approaches may be different in terms of who you are even attracting. But to attract them in a better way, I think, is to improve the services rendered by Islamic financial institutions. We have a lot of complaints. I remember somebody calling me yesterday to complain about some issues in some financial institutions. And I reasoned with him, some of the services rendered are not top class. And this is, I think, an impediment for those talents to be willing to join us. But if they really want and if they really are interested in our system, I'm sure they will love to join us. And if they join us, I think it will be better for the financial institution. There are a lot of migrations from conventional to Islamic finance, and some of them have turned to be very, very successful, and they have really brought a lot of value to the financial institutions they are joining. So I believe it's something good if we can do that, but we should not forget that there are thousands or even hundreds of thousands of graduates out there looking for jobs. So let us see how we can employ them. Let us see how we can bring them into and train them right from scratch, and let them start with the understanding of Islamic finance only, without even knowing conventional finance. Because what we come to understand is that, interest is juicy sometimes. It's easy money, you get it easy. If you really want to do Islamic finance, you have to fold your arms and do the real job. And we are lazy. We want easy money, we want easy returns. We don't want to do the real hard work. So that is why I believe we need to train our staff, our professionals right from the beginning to understand doing Islamic finance the hard way. And I think this is what will take us to success. Yeah.
Now, I agree. Where you mentioned training people from scratch in the way that in their minds they don't understand interest.
Yes,
they don't want to know it.
Exactly.
What they want to know is how to do sale contracts and those things.
Sure.
Now, so the next thing I want to ask now is regards to business in general. I have a company. It might not be an Islamic finance firm, but I want to be Sharia compliant in my ethics and culture, my work culture. How can I achieve this? If I say, okay, if I'm going to employ staff, I'm going to ensure that 95% of them are Muslim, will this give me a Sharia compliant environment and work culture?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. I think Sharia compliance is not about who are the staff. It's about what is being done. So you can have a pool of staff who are all Muslims, who are all committed Muslims. They even go to prayer, they do a lot of worship, but they don't understand Islamic finance. They can just come and mess up everything. What is important is Are you practicing the principles right or not? Okay? So, as a company, you should try to get it right in how you practice the Islamic finance. And it starts from having a very strong Sharia governance framework, a very strong Sharia team that will ensure that what you are doing is Sharia compliant. And this is their role, this is their function to make sure that the bank or the management or the financial institution is doing the right thing as much as possible in terms of the culture and in terms of the products and services they deliver. I remember, I can remember knowing a number of financial institutions outside the country. You see, sometimes the majority of them are not Muslims. And I just come to wonder that you are doing Islamic finance and you are not Muslims? Of course. If you go and see how the services they render, the services are Islamic. And that is what we are after. So a non-Muslim can do Islamic finance in a better way than even a Muslim would do it. So this means that we can employ Muslims and not Muslims. I remember when I was doing my PhD, I have a friend from Japan uh, who was also doing his PhD in Islamic finance. And he's not a Muslim. He's not a Christian. I think his religion is Buddhism, you know. So it doesn't matter. And he believes in Islamic finance so much. In fact, he likes the assets backed aspect of Islamic finance. And that is why he felt this is something good he needs to learn. And that is why he came to learn it, to do it properly, to do it in the right manner. So it has nothing to do, or it has less to do with what you are, the people, but rather what is being done in the financial institution is what matters most.
Yeah.
Mm.
Coming to the aspect of growing people or mentoring people in the Islamic finance space, how can we firm this up by making it that, okay, there are lots of young people. If I speak to a few young people who say, oh, you're working in an Islamic finance institution, they want to take this path.
Exactly.
Some of them might don't want to be Islamic finance practitioners, but they want to, in their own industries, establish the framework. And that's why when I asked the question, I said, even in business general, because I can have a real estate company, but I know that, okay, when I'm doing my transactions, the contracts are not in the way they're Sharia compliant contracts. When I'm looking for funding, I'm not looking for interest back fund. All of these things, my culture in the office, there are a lot of young people that want to take this path. How can we make mentorship easy for them? Access to people like yourself, people like Saad Tahir Bachitwa, and all of these other players in the space. How can we make access easy for them in a way that they would learn and they would uphold Islamic finance principles in other industries?
Yeah. So I'm happy with the question, the way you put it. They have the interest. So I think that is the first thing. If you have the interest, I think that is the most important thing. The interest in having a career in Islamic finance, not just getting money, not just, you should have interest in Islamic finance and promoting the industry. This is number one. Number two, I think they should take the right degrees. They should take the right path in their, even before graduation. They can study economics, study finance, study business, study accounting, courses that are related to finance. I think this will help a lot. At least they will have a lot of background knowledge on financial matters, because there are a lot of things that are common when they come out. Like for me, I studied economics, so all I learned on Islamic finance, I saw is economic relevance to it. I saw the economics aspect in it, and I think that is the background that the laid foundation for whatever I learned after. In some educational institutions, like for example in Bayero University, I know you have an opportunity to even start learning Islamic finance even before graduating. Edu Zaria, they also have some courses which you can take. But specifically in Bayero University, they have what they call the associate uh, uh, associate certificate in Islamic finance, something like that. I cannot exactly remember the name, but it's a course that has been split in 2 semesters. So as you are taking your courses, you can go and register at the institute and take some courses of Islamic finance. I taught in that course, and I used to have students from library science, students from engineering, students from biochemistry. They all come to take that course. So there are these opportunities where you can even start learning even before graduating. There are courses online as well. You can go and take a very short course. You can learn maybe in 2 months, 3 months, you can learn a lot of stuff. Like Sibafi, they have a lot of courses. Al Huda, they have a lot of courses, and a number of them out there, which you can pay money and get the certificates. So now, after graduation, I believe the first thing you should try is, or maybe during your NYSC, you should try to attach yourself to a financial institution that upholds Islamic finance. You should learn the rudiments, you should learn how it works, you should learn, if you are joining a Islamic bank, at least you can go there, even at the counter, you can stay as a customer service staff, or what have you, or a teller. If it is a fund management company, you can join their marketing team and things like that. At least you will be grasping some little knowledge on how Islamic finance is working. But after your NYSC, of course, I will encourage a student to continue learning Islamic finance, even without a job. And this is what I used to tell our graduates, our graduate trainees in the bank. I used to tell them that work very hard, but work harder in learning. I used to tell them that your first 5 years should be the years you want to build your talent in Islamic finance. Forget about the money. Forget about promotions. Yes, promotions are good, but don't work too hard to get promoted. Work too hard to get the knowledge and the experience is more important. And the promotion will come. I used to tell them that go and get a master's degree as quick as possible. Don't wait. So you immediately after your graduation and you get a job, fine and good. You couldn't get a job, try to do your best. Wherever you find yourself, continue studying, continue learning. You should never stop learning. So 5 years after your graduation, you should try to equip yourself very, very well. There are a lot of lectures, there are a lot of fora where you can join, where you can learn a lot of stuff in Islamic finance. So you continue learning, what do you call it, deliberate learning, active learning, and passive learning as well. Everywhere you find your opportunity to learn, you should try as much as possible to learn. In terms of mentorship, which is the second part of your question, I believe there are a lot of mentors out there, but it depends on where you find yourself. Mentorship means training by doing, teaching by doing. So you have to be part of your mentor. Like for me, I got mentors in the university and I got mentors when I was in the financial institution. But there's one mentor I can never forget about him who really mentored me. He helped me and he supported me. He used to give me jobs that are beyond my capacity. So for example, in writing a memo, I will write a memo, maybe he will correct it like 7, 8 times. And he used to say that he's happy that I'm patient enough that I used to take time to do all the corrections he gave me. But over time, I came to realize that he was really training me. And a time came that I could work independently. So these are the kind of mentors that if you have them, you are very lucky. Because getting a mentor, I think it's part of it is luck. So people can be very unlucky that they couldn't get a mentor. So they will continue to suffer in their careers. And what I feel is wherever you are working and you don't have a mentor, please move forward. because you are just going to waste a lot of years without learning. Because some bosses wouldn't like you to work. So every work that comes, they will not ask you to do it. They are not helping you in any way. They are causing problem for you. And later in life,
some young people think that some young people do not realize the problem with that over the long period.
No. I remember when I was in the university, when I was working under one of my bosses. Whenever he gives me a job, I try to finish it as quick as possible. So he gives me more work, and I'll work. And my colleagues started laughing at me to the extent that they saw that you are jacking Aiki. You work too much, you know. But he, in one of our meetings, he was looking at me. He said, "When I give you more work, it's because I want you to grow. So please, I want you to persevere and continue." And he said that, and it stuck into my head that they used to say the reward for hard work is more work. And the reward for more work, I think, is success in life. So you need to work very hard if you really want to succeed.
No.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So next question I'll be going into is outside Islamic finance totally. It's just about there's some companies who prioritize short-term profits over long-term human capital. So by this, what it means is they have amazing people in their team, but they do not implement the things that will make these people stay. And maybe they have poor wages and all of these things. And that will increase their profits, obviously. But over the long term, these amazing people will leave and they have to employ new people again. A lot of companies take this path. Coming from ethics, Islamic ethics generally, with regards to workers and wages and all of this, how do we approach this, number one? And then secondly, organizations, in your own perspective, organizations who prioritize the short-term profits over long-term human asset capital, do they suffer? So two things, okay. Islamic finance ethics and then...
Yes. I think what I'm going to say is going to be personal opinions because it's not based on research and it may differ from one organization to another. But what I think is it depends on the management style. Some management style may differ from one place to another. You may see one manager may be an autocrat, another one may be a democrat. So it all depends on the style they are taking. Having said this, I will say that even the politics of holding your staff or letting them go would also depend on the management style or the leadership style in that financial institution. While some may say they don't care, as long as we are making the numbers, let everybody go. Our primary objective is to ensure that we give good returns to our investors. And we are doing that. Fine and good. So if they are leaving, it's their own problem. But my primary goal has been salvaged. But we need to know why they are really even going. If they are going because of, for example, poor salaries, because of poor what do you call it, like staff policies,
welfare,
the policies are not good, the welfare is not good, I think that is bad for the organization, and the returns they are going to be seeing may look temporary, may be temporary. Over the long run, I think they may suffer because the more your staff are going, it's as if you are starting all over again every time. And it may look like something good, but actually in the long run, you may suffer a lot of damages. And where they are going, when you allow your talents to go, another person may pick them. And if they pick them, they will go and serve them well. And that other organization, being your competitor, will now come and overrule you, and they may displace you out of the market. So I think it's not good. in the long run. In the short run, it may look nice if the financial institution is really making good returns and they are meeting their mandates. The second part of your question, please can you remind me?
So the second part which I asked is, which you've already answered.
Yes.
You answered the second part.
Okay,
the
great.
first part is, I'm saying, from an Islamic ethic point of view.
Yes.
How does this, is it okay that, okay, look, I don't really care how the staffs are doing so much. If they do and they leave, as long as my objective has been achieved, I'm fine.
Yes. Yes. I see working in a company like becoming a same family. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that خيركم خيركم لأهله وأنا خيركم لأهلي. And كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. So when you are a leader in a financial institution, you should understand that you are like a same family and you are responsible. And Allah will ask you whether you did good to them or you did bad to them. So if what you are doing is something negative, and that is why they are deciding to leave, I think that is something bad and it's not Sharia compliant in any way. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will even ask you for that because this is their own right, you are depriving them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold you responsible in the day of judgment for not doing the right thing. But if you do good for them, for sure they will stay. They wouldn't like to leave. I know some financial institutions that people don't accept offers. I know a financial institution where one of the staff, tore his CV. He said, "This is the last place I'm going to work in my life," because he's very happy working there. But at the same time, sometimes this is not good for the organization. When people stay so long, they get used to it to the extent that they bend rules and people cannot talk to them. And that is why sometimes leaving may also be another solution for some financial institutions. I know some financial institutions, when you stay very long, they honor you and tell you, please, you can start going. But if it is this kind of living, I think it's good.
It's fine.
It's fine. They call it a golden handshake. They give you a good amount of money and they ask you to honorably leave because they want the organization to grow and your performance is not it's not optimal. They want to bring younger hands and things like that. So it depends on, actually there are so many things to consider. It depends on how you are ending the relationship. It depends on even as I mentioned earlier, the leadership style of the organization, and it depends on why they are even leaving. So retaining good hands, I think, is a good thing. But letting the bad ones to leave, of course, I don't think it's a problem. Nobody would like to stay long with his staff, underperforming staff. If you're underperforming, of course, nobody would like to work with you and they would ask you to leave, and I think that is even better for you and the organization.
No. So my final question is with regards to leadership, which you've spoken about.
Yeah.
As a leader and I'll take the Islamic finance space, but it can dissect it to other sectors. As a leader trying to uphold these ethics in your organization, what would you say are the qualities you need to possess? And when I say leader, I'm not speaking about only the MD. If you're a head of department
Sure.
So what are the qualities you need to uphold that would aid the organization to drive this culture properly and thrive?
Yes. So first of all, I would say the issue of trust is very important, and transparency. Being transparent in whatever you do is very important as a leader. You should have the qualities of a leader to be trusted, so that at any given point in time, you'll be there for your staff. You'll be there for them, and they feel that you are really a trustworthy person that they can reckon on. Secondly, I would say consultation. A good leader should be consultative. He should speak to his subordinates. He should carry them along. He should be diplomatic in how he talks to them. The Prophet ﷺ used to be very diplomatic with his companions. He used to engage them in consultations. He seeks for their advice. He seeks for their opinion before taking decisions, which I believe this is also a very good quality of leadership. So also, a good leader should understand what he does, should understand the business very well. إن خير من استأجرت القوي الأمين. I mentioned the Amin aspect. Al-Qawi needs to be strong in the sense that he has the strength in the knowledge, strength in experience, strength mentally, strength physically, strength emotionally, because emotional intelligence is also very, very important. So you need to be emotionally excellent, emotionally intelligent in order to handle the people, handle diversities, in order to understand how to relate with everybody in the organization. So these are some of the things I could remember at this point in time.
No.
There are many qualities of a good leader. I think these are some of the most important ones.
Yeah, I know I said that was my last question.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw this one as a this question, then
Sure.
you tell me why.
Okay, sir.
So you mentioned amana first, trust in the terms of leadership. So I would ask you, you're an employer. Would you employ somebody who has a high level of trust? His trust is unshakable, but he doesn't have so much knowledge. Or you employ somebody that everybody knows him in the industry, they know that the people that know this thing more than him are not plenty, but he has a lot of trust issues, he has cunningness. For an organization, who would they go? Who do you think an organization should go with? Or if you are heading an organization, who would you go with? The one who has a lot of trust, amana, he doesn't know so much, he's willing to learn, or the one that knows so much, but you have to be checkmating him every time to ensure he doesn't outsmart you people?
Well, I think this is a dicey one.
Yes, it is. That's why we're ending with it.
On a personal note, on a personal basis, I think I would go for the one who is al-Qawi and puts a lot of control measures on him. You understand? I will employ a person who knows the job very well, but I'll put a lot of pressure on him on the amana aspect. Why I'm saying this is, yes, some people may say, and some people may claim that learning to be al-Qawiyu is easier than learning to be al-Amin. But why he is here is to do the job. And I find him that he can really do the job. I will put a lot of control measures to ensure that he does his work and he delivers. Al-Amin may be very good. The amana is there, but the work is not done well. That is why, for me, I believe getting al-Qawi, putting a lot of control measures on him to be al-Amin, I think may be a better way. Even though in all the two scenarios are not really very good, the best, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the person who combine the two. If you have Qawi who does not have amana, is incomplete. Al-Amin without al-Khuwa is, there's one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet said, please do not be a leader because you are weak. So the Prophet disqualified him easily, even though with all his amana. But he said, please don't be a leader. So that's why I feel the quality of al-Quwa, I think, should come first before al-Amana. Wallahu a'lam.
Wallahu a'lam. And the scholars, a lot of scholars, Sheikh Salih Fawzan and a couple of others have mentioned something similar with regards to political leadership.
Exactly.
Where they said,
also has a similar saying.
where they mentioned that it's better to take who knows how to do the job, who has the ability, and ensure that they deliver and they're trustworthy to some extent as well, over the one who's trustworthy but doesn't know how to do the job, because you might get attacked in different ways that you cannot defend.
True.
So we've come to the end of this episode, and Alhamdulillah, it was a very exciting one, and we could continue and go on and go on and go on. But for us to do that, we'll have Dr. Nabil again. Ensure to subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on our Instagram at 117 Podcast, subscribe to the YouTube at 117 Capital, and like and share this video to everybody you know, and continue to pray for us and support us while we bring you amazing content on business, finance, and ethics from a Sharia compliant lens. Until we meet again, bye.